All right. How's everybody doing? Good evening. Bobby Piton here. Day 122 of 365. Folks, we just crossed the 33% mark, right? 33% would be, 22 times 3 is 66. So plus 300, 100 times 3, and we have 366. So we just crossed the 33% mark. Anyways, it's a big day. It's a big day indeed. So just some quick hellos. Net, Gretchen, and let me see here. Dallas and John and Donna, Sean, Cynthia, Duncan Hines is back, even though they probably don't make the best of products, Duncan. Anyways, Jacob, Angie, Patrick, Jane looks like she's new. We got Rhonda, Mary, Jay Strays, Dallas, Ampstock. Just some quick hellos, Maria. And you guys are all showing up every day. I got to do my shout outs. Cherie looks like they're new, as hi, Ann, as well as, let me see who else. Hi, Lilo. And Patrick's here. So anyways, the boxing cat has showed up. Finally, we were waiting for that cat that boxes to show up today, folks. So anyways, today is pretty interesting. Today is about Samson. And as everybody knows, as we were talking about yesterday, Samson is wrath, right? If you guys have recalled, there's like 7 deadly sins. Do you guys remember that? Right? We learn about the 7 deadly sins. And, there's actually a movie about the 7 deadly sins. There's actually quite a few movies. And I've noticed them quite a bit. Like even in the movie Troy, if you guys have ever seen that movie Troy, Maria, I needed a haircut to go to talk today before the school board meeting. So that's the deal. Every once in a while, I do get my hair cut. If I'm going to speak in public. Anyways, I'm just joking. I do get it cut more often than just that. But I did get it cut for the school board meeting. And we did record it. And so hopefully when it's uploaded, I will be able to share it. It was about 3 minutes or so, a little, maybe 3.5, 4 minutes at the most. And what I will say is funny about the school board meeting today is as I was talking, I was going through the stuff, and then right when I said that Americans of African heritage won the election for President Trump in 2016, all of a sudden, shut off, Bobby. And I said, what's the problem? Orange man bad? So, this is the president of the Batavia School Board, folks. And so here's a person, I'm not exactly sure what made her qualified to be the school board president. But what I will say is her name is Kathy Dremel, Dremel. If you guys are feeling ambitious, please write to her. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the time to try to get a form letter put together. I don't know when I'm going to get it done, but I will try to get a form letter done. Dallas, she was cutting me off. She was just cutting me off. And so I was a little upset about it because I said, look, I want to make sure I understand this correctly. Democrats have basically put slavery on the docket in the United States. We had to fight to end slavery. And then while we were fighting to solve slavery of individual human beings, the scourge that hit the planet, they decided to concoct national slavery, right? Communism, aka communism. And then once they created communism, they find that that's not working. There's a backlash against communism. So they want to create mental slavery. So they went from individual slavery to nation state slavery to now they want to do mental slavery. And what I'm saying is, this is absolutely outrageous. It's disgusting. And I basically said, look, at the very end, as I was leaving, I did say I'm going to be running for U.S. Senate, and I'm going to make it a crime to try to push this type of propaganda is the goal. And I had a couple people laugh, and I had a couple people, clap about it. So we'll see, which one prevails over time, right? Only God knows. But what I do know is that I did say we were spirits in human body, in human form, not human form in spirits. And so that's the deal, folks. I did not get a standing ovation, but I did get a few people that did clap. There was probably, I don't know, maybe 20 people attending the meeting and so forth. So that's the deal. So let me see here. We're going to, we're going to see when this thing gets published. I will definitely post it when it is. So you guys, you can let me know what you think once you get it. But I did think it was pretty interesting. Well, right now they're trying to say that CRT is not in the school district, but they're saying that it might show up, right? This is the whole point. We wanted to go on record, and I think that we, the people of the United States, should put every single school board on notice. While we wait to have this insanity banned, I do think that we need to we need to get involved on every single school board across this nation. And I have to tell you, I have so many ideas on what the hell we need to do to fight back. So I know I'm working on a bunch of things. I'm trying to get this stuff done with these states. I got so many people hounding me. I've been so busy the past couple of days. I need to get back in touch with some volunteers that are getting paid and doing this stuff. And, sometimes I don't know if I'm coming or going. I'm not going to kid you. I'm super busy. But I will say that, I do think that I will, new interview. Wowzers. No. What did Trump say in the interview? You guys want to give us a quick little heads up on what Trump said in the interview? So they say it's called equality. What a joke. Equality. It's propaganda, folks. It's really, really bad. And so, we need to get this solved. That's all there is to it. So, President Trump, he won. Why would he ever concede? So that's the deal. Folks, President Trump won the election. And, so some people say, right? I don't need YouTube banning me. YouTube, I said that some people say President Trump won the election. I don't know who those people are, but there's some people that say President Trump won. There's like 100 million of them. So I don't know who these 100 million Americans are, but they all seem to be convinced that President Trump won. And so, anyways, I do think it's interesting, folks. Like I said, we don't want to talk about voter integrity or voting stuff on YouTube. They get very worked up about it. So we can talk about voter stuff on Odyssey, or I'll have to do that on Vimeo. But I don't want to really talk about it here and so forth, because it's not a popular topic here on YouTube. And so, anyways, I don't know if I'm going to have to take this video down now too. This is kind of crazy. We live in these crazy times, folks. I can't even speak freely. We don't have freedom of speech right now. It's really bad. Even people that say we don't have freedom of speech might start getting banned. So who knows? Here, so let's just go to Samson. So, obviously, Samson was obviously wrath, right? There's the 7 deadly sins, of lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. Okay? Now keep in mind, folks, one of the things that I remember very vividly, growing up with my parents in particular. There you go, Jeffrey. That's a good idea. We should all start learning in Navajo. The problem is there's a lot of there's multiple counties in Arizona that are Native Americans, or Americans of Native heritage, right, to the land here, which don't look so good, buddy. I'm not so sure we want to do Navajo because, there's like, I don't know, 1,800 people voting out of a single lot. Just saying. Or, there's like 5 different churches' chickens, within one area, within one block of each other. It's just weird stuff like that. I remember seeing in some of that data. So maybe we need something. We're no longer in Iwo Jima, buddy. Like we've long passed Iwo Jima. We need to definitely change some stuff. Is the deal is it's pretty crazy. One of these days, folks, it would be wonderful to show all this data, all this information. I'm hopeful that we're going to have that day. All of America will get to see it. It will be an absolutely outstanding day when this happens, folks. It's going to be wonderful. So anyways, going back to this whole concept with regards to these 7 deadly sins. Now let's take a look at this, right? Because, this is all related to Samson. Samson was, as we said, he was the enforcer. Samson was God's enforcer. He basically ruled for 20 years, folks. 20 years. Basically, Samson ruled over Israel, right? He was God's enforcer, and he took care of people, right? People that needed taken care of. The guy killed, 1,000 people with the jaw of a donkey. Come on, you can't make this stuff up. You can have a donkey jaw, and you can kill 1,000 people. You're pretty damn strong, right? And obviously, he got betrayed, and then what ends up happening? He gets his eyes gouged out, and even with that, after his hair starts to grow back, it's like 3,000 people in the temple, maybe another 1,000 on the roof, and he was able to level that entire temple and kill everybody with himself. So it's pretty cool. It did stand out to me that more people died with him, on that day in that temple than he killed during his life as the enforcer for God in Israel, which is pretty interesting, right? So, he kind of went out with a bang, right? He kind of took on all these evil people that had double-crossed him, which is pretty interesting, right? And so, we sit there and never really thought about wrath being something that God would embody in one individual. Like up to this point, it's something that we've seen across an army, right? We've kind of seen wrath across an army or different armies that would go and conquer lands and so forth. But we never really talked about it from the standpoint of one individual embodying wrath. Now, what's interesting is, a lot of the Greek classics, right? These, if you look at, like I said, if you look at the story of Troy, I think there's a few other books. I don't know if it's Iliad, maybe. But anyways, math could be our new wrath. That's pretty funny, Jeff. But, we look at what destroyed civilizations in the past, and we look at what's destroying our civilization. Correct. Like right now in the United States right now, and what's destroying us worldwide. And let's just take a look at it. Let's just go right through the list. Okay. Now, obviously lust, we live in a time, right? And I've been thinking about this, and I don't know where I stand on policy, folks. So here's the deal is I do believe in limited government, right? I do believe that limited government with regards to money. Like, I don't think the government needs to be meddling into people's lives, and it shouldn't be collecting all these taxes. And we should have more freedom with our own money to decide on how we want to live our life. Okay, and I'm very, very strict on that. We've talked about this. The federal government used to be 4 cents out of every dollar. Now it's 22 cents or more. Okay, so there's clearly a big problem. With that being said, you know, what do we need as Americans? What's good for our society nationwide? I'm not talking just the states. What is good for this country? And putting God first is extremely important. I think we should go God first, 10 Commandments, and then U.S. Constitution. So when I sit there and I look at the word lust, we live in a time when a lot of people go on to things, right? They go on to, like, for example, these, what is this? Tinder apps, different types of apps where you can go on and hook up with people. Drop of a hat, you can hook up every day. And you sit there and you think about Tinder and you think about these other sites, and they basically cater to lust. And now when you think about these sites, I want you to think about us as a society. You have families, you have men and women that might be in a relationship with children. They're stressed out. Maybe they've had a fight or something, and now all of a sudden there's tools in the environment that allow them to magnify their moment of weakness and do something that can significantly disrupt their family unit, their children's lives, and also disrupt our society. And my question is that a good idea? Should we as a society allow that? And this idea, no, they have the freedom to do that. Well, no, they shouldn't have the freedom to encourage people breaking contracts. A marriage is a contract. And so if you create tools that create contracts being broken, there should be liability. Like in corporate America, if you break up a corporate merger, you're liable. If you're another company and you break up two companies from merging, right, getting married, you can be liable. That company can be liable for billions of dollars. So why does a company have more respect with that than us as human beings in a relationship, in a marriage, when we're raising young children, right? And it can impact those relationships. So that's just one example, like, of what we're living through as we speak right now. And so, okay, so now let's go to gluttony. Gluttony, folks, is not just about food. A lot of people associate, gluttony with, overeating. Gluttony is also over consuming or over wanting resources like money and so forth. We live in a gluttonous time where a lot of people are attached to excess money, excess food, excess drink, you name it. Excess seems to be something that is celebrated, right? It's one of those things where people try to claim that this is the American way. This is not the American way. If you go back and you look at this country over time, excess is not the American way. Living a good life, doing the right thing, trying to live a righteous life, is the American way. So so that's number two. So we're kind of surrounded by gluttony right now, and it's difficult because let me take a look here. So this is a bit of a problem that we're all facing right now in the society, like the world around us, because it's tough to navigate, especially if you have young children. You got to deal with this, folks. I got to tell you, having small children, I don't know how many out there have small children and so forth, but having small children, and when you think about this from that context, you think about all these issues that much more, right? We have to figure out how to deal with these issues, because what kind of world are our children going to live in? Like this whole thing about critical race theory, I said what's happening when they do this crap is they're causing distrust. They're causing people to stop trusting each other, not wanting to be around each other. Who wants to deal with somebody who thinks that they're a victim? No offense, But nobody likes victim mentalities. It doesn't matter what color skin. If you're stuck because you've been victimized, you were in a bad relationship, you had some bad things happen in your life, what I would say is pray, ask God to take it away. Just get over it. Move on. And I know it sounds harsh, but that's what you need to do. You shouldn't let it cripple you. You should not let it cripple you. And right now, CRT is attempting to cripple people. It's attempting to mentally cripple them. It's crippling their relationships with other people. And this is a horrible thing. And this, we do need to stamp it out, which is why it's literally the second thing. First one is voter stuff. Second is CRT. And then third is cutting the size of the government, right? So that's the order, folks. CRT is number 2 for me. Okay, so now we move on from gluttony, and this is an exciting night, right? We're going on to greed. So then greed, you're constantly looking to get more of somebody else's stuff, right? You're not satisfied with yours. Actually, it's a little more envious when you're jealous of somebody. But greed is you have an insatiable desire to just to consume more than your fill. You never have enough. Your cup never overfilleth. And this is a serious problem too that we're seeing everywhere. We have executives. I was talking to a friend about it today, and so let's talk about it. And actually, I was talking to a couple friends about this issue today. One of them is actually a client, and I said, what do you think is the ratio for money? Like what's the most somebody should be allowed to earn, or not earn, own in our world? Like we design the world that we live in, right? What's the most that one person should have in relationship to other people, right? And I said, is it 1 million times? If the average American is worth $100,000, the average family, right? The average family is worth $100,000, and should 1 million times that would be $100 billion. I guess Bezos is worth $100 billion. Should someone like Bezos be worth $100 billion? That's my question. It's a philosophical question, right? I'm not here to answer it, but I think about that concept. 100 billion. But here's the deal, Sean. You say there should be no limit, but I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Okay. When we don't have a limit on these people, Sean, what do you think little Bezos does? Right? What does Bezos do? He buys up media assets. He starts spreading propaganda. He tries to rig elections, possibly. He tries to, basically co-opt people. He tries to, he undermines our laws. He doesn't pay taxes the entire time he started to build up his company. He devastated communities across the country, and so you sit there and you look at all the devastation that these folks bring. It's very, very hard to look the other way on that argument anymore. I used to make the argument, let the market bear it out. Let people continue to kind of build up, right? Everybody should just be able to accumulate whatever they want, and that's just the way it is. And I was hook, line, and sinker on that, right? But now, when you look at how many people with extreme wealth, I'm not talking about, folks. You got to remember something. I don't know if you've dealt with any of these people. I'm just speaking from my own experience, and my experience is limited. But I've had some interaction with 3 or 4 people that are worth over $1 billion, and what I would say is they don't look at you like you're equal in any way, shape, or form, even spiritually. You guys are delusional if you think that. Anybody out there listening to this who thinks that these uber wealthy look at you as though they're your equal before God, you got another thing coming. They don't think that at all. These people they almost evolve into atheists. They evolve, they evolve into the worst side of humanity, the worst side of our spirit. They literally they're the embodiment uh, um, of greed and so forth, and frankly, the embodiment of sloth. Right? They're lazy as shit. What they're really good at is co-opting people's labor and figuring out how to steal people's work. And so this is what they're exceptional at, is what I've noticed. Um, and so that's the deal with regards to greed. Now, what's sloth? Sloth that's all these terrorist organizations, right? That that want to they don't want to do anything. They just want to be fed. While we're talking about sheep, but they don't want to work. They don't think they have to work. They could sit at home, collect an extra $400 a week, being unemployed. That's the sloth. That's the sloth element of our society. So that's the deal, folks. We talked about wrath. Now, envy. We have a bunch of people that are envious. Now, what I'm discussing with regards to this excessive wealth that we all witness in our society, I'm not envious of any of these people. And in fact, I have pity on these people, right? I'm gonna use Mr. T. Remember Mr. T? I pity the fool. I remember growing up with watching Mr. T, and I think it was the A-Team, right? Anyways, I pity the fool. But yeah, he was in Rocky, I think Rocky 3 as well. But anyways, when you look at people that are envious, when their happiness is not met, or they don't have the happiness they deserve because somebody else had a little more success than them, it's extremely sad and disappointing, and it's horrible on so many levels. You think about this for a second, right? You ask these people, hey, if you can make $100,000 and then the person next to you makes $80,000, how do you feel about that? And they would say, that's great. That would be good, right? And then all of a sudden, if you said, hey, that person is not making $80,000, they're going to make $1 million, but you're going to make 700,000. And so they went from making 100,000 to 700. The other person went to making $1 million, and they would be depressed and they would have a problem, right? That's what envy is. Envy is you're mad at somebody else's success or how their life is turning out relative to yours. If you think that their life is going better than yours, you're envious, right? And if you judge them and you're resentful of them, that's the deal, folks. So that is, we're seeing that everywhere, right? You should never, look, just pretend it's not complicated, folks. Just pretend you're going to die tonight, midnight. The clock strikes midnight, you're gone. You're out of here. I just want you to think about that for a second. If you really believe that, if you believe that you're going to die tonight at midnight, none of this stuff matters. You're on your way out, baby. Make sure you're at peace. Make sure you have good peace. You spent, you had a good meal today. Maybe you didn't have a good meal earlier today. Make sure you get that good meal in before midnight, right? You spent some time with some loved ones. You did something you really enjoyed, whether read a book or watch a movie or, I don't know, go over Bible study online. That's the deal, folks. There you go. The boxing cat. Don't worry, boxing cat. You got 8 more lives if you died tonight. You got 8 more. You can go another 8 days. ZZ the boxing cat. So that's the deal. So anyways, and if you do that, you get in the habit of just pretending that you might be going at any time. All these problems just melt away. It's pretty, it's pretty funny. It's all this stuff is just absolutely ridiculous. So what I would say is, when you look at these 7 deadly sins, we're going to do pride as the last one, right? When someone's prideful, they don't want to admit they're wrong. They do something, they do something because they don't want to admit, um, they don't want to give credit to other people. They don't want to give credit where credit's due. And this is a very serious problem. And so when we think about this whole concept with regards to pride, when we think about envy, wrath, sloth, greed, gluttony, lust, and we look around, and I think to some degree, all of us have probably had some tiny sprinkling of these things. Maybe we have been wrathful at times, right? I know that I have a temper, and I try to control my temper, but I do know that about myself, that I have had a temper, and I think I know what causes my temper to kind of act up. And so that's an example. If you know what the 7 deadly sins are, and you know how you might be triggered by them, or kind of act out, I think it helps, right? And I think it helps maintain a very good balance, and that's one of the most important things. Anger is wrath, Kevin. Wrath and anger are one and the same, and so so look at that, KP Monty. I like that. God gave man dominion over the earth. Adam forfeited it to Satan. Jesus took it back. Now we need to operate in it. And I completely agree. That's very, very well said. And so, oh boy. So that's the deal. We look around, we see all this stuff. We got to do our part. And if we do our part, we will correct things and we will right this ship. So we look at this critical race theory with regards to these 7 deadly sins, and what do we see? Like, that's a good question, right? We should be like, okay, Bobby, what do you see? 7 deadly sins, critical race theory, right? Okay, we have a situation where they are feeling envious. They feel that there's some people that are envious. I guess you can say the victims. And these victims feel as though they're owed something. They don't have as much as they should have, or what they think they should have, and so they're envious of that. And that's a really lousy way. Remember what God said. He made it very clear. If you're poor in spirit, right, you're going to remain poor. And then people who are create abundance will continue to have abundance. You reap what you sow with regards to your mental attitude. So envy is a big part of the CRT. Pride, these people have way too much confidence in the fact that some of the stuff that they're doing that doesn't work, they somehow should be attached to it. You shouldn't be attached to things that don't work. You need to learn from what isn't working and get on with it. Go learn from other people that are doing well, and then you won't have these problems, okay? 1 second here. So let me take a look here. All right. Okay, guys, hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna put the video on. It's on Telegram. You guys, can you see this? And I'm gonna upload it. Can you guys hear that okay, or is it too quiet? I can't tell. Anyways, it might be a little too quiet. So I'll put it up on Telegram and see what you guys think. And then I'm gonna just forward it to Bobby Piton. And I'm gonna just say my video from tonight. My video about CRT tonight. Okay? Okay, so there we go. Okay, so getting back to this whole thing with CRT, obviously they got a problem with pride. They got a problem with envy. Their wrath, so they have this violence show up around our society. They wear masks and so forth. And they take out their anger by not having to actually create and do stuff. You know, and so this is what they do. They're lazy. A lot of these people that are pushing this stuff, they don't want to have to do anything. They just want to be able to take without creating. They're greedy because they're trying to take more than they're entitled to. They're gluttony. No amount of charity will ever satisfy them. They have a tremendous amount of appetite to keep taking more than what is due to them. And they're lustful, and they're lustful for power without earning it. Power needs to be earned, folks. You don't get to have power in this world without earning it, and so forth. But this is what CRT is about. So here, I'm going to play it if you don't mind, because people keep saying they don't have Telegram. So let me take a look here. Let me see here. Okay, I'm going to put this up, and you guys tell me if you can hear it.
I think it's extremely important that we talk about what this is that very corrupt forces are trying to do to this nation. We are all spirits in human form, not humans in spirit form. Spirits don't have a color. They don't have classifications like the CRT garbage that's being thrust upon us. We're all equal before God. We live our life according to principle, and the principles will dictate how you turn out. Now, with regards to injustice, let's talk about injustice. The very people that have created this mess were the ones that were the slave owners in this country and helped usher in slavery because they were part of the slave trade worldwide that ripped this whole country off, not just this country, but humanity off. Then after we defeated slavery, they went from an individual level to, hey, let's do group-wide slavery. We'll call it communism. And then they basically took over China. China went from 250. We just basically outsourced slavery. So the Democratic Party that's doing this crap, they lost with the individual slavery. Then they lost with the nation-state slavery. And now they want a mental slavery. They want to handicap people because they're waking up to the fact that they're corrupt as all heck. They're a bunch of scumbags. What they're doing with this, they're trying to literally destroy what America is. America, this will cause tremendous distrust. It will not cause trust. It will cause distrust. The inequality that exists, how about the fact that half of the black community in this country, Americans of African descent, they're not African Americans. We're all Americans first. Americans of African descent, they had no problem watching half of them kill off their babies. Or the 61 million abortions since 1974. Where was the outrage for that? So now, after you devastate the communities of color that used to have very similar marriage rates as whites up until the Great Society program of Lyndon Johnson. Go look it up for yourself. They had unbelievable economic opportunities. And guess what slavery couldn't do? Slavery could not destroy the family unit of Americans of African descent. Guess what did? The Democratic Party with this insanity. And it started with this crap with Lyndon Johnson. Go look at his quotes. I don't even want to say his quotes. They're very disturbing. Go look at what Lyndon Johnson really was about. Okay? And now, all of a sudden, Americans of African heritage they literally won President Trump the election. They did. That's okay. We'll wrap it up. 30 seconds. Okay. Okay. So here's what I will say. Oh, I guess you get Orange Man bad. Orange Man is bad. You had to cut me off right when I said Trump. Is that the idea? Anyways, that's what it sounded like. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. So, anyways, I think it's a disaster. It's going to cause a tremendous amount of increases in violence, and it will lead to a continued severing of society. This stuff is going to end. And by the way, I'm running for the United States Senate in Illinois, and I will make this a crime to push this propaganda onto the American citizens.
Anyways, I thought that was pretty funny. I was going to write out a speech, but I just decided to wing it instead. So anyways, that was tonight. I did think it was pretty funny when the woman at the school board, the president, the moment I mentioned President Trump by name, it was just like boom. You gotta stop. You gotta stop talking. Bad orange man, bad. So, anyways, it is pretty funny, folks. It is pretty funny indeed. So, this is what we're up against. We are up against. We're up against a tremendous amount of evil from all facets of our society, all facets of life. We all know that we've made our fair share of mistakes. We as Americans, we constantly make mistakes. We encourage it. We encourage entrepreneurship. We encourage failure and it being okay to fail, as long as we keep getting up and trying again and make it better and try to do something. And I think that what's happened with this crap, with the woke education ripping us off, folks, you want to know why this wokeism is spreading like a virus across this country? I want you to open up your statements from your financial advisors or your investment firms. I want you to look at them. I want you to see how many ETFs you have. How many ETFs do you have, exchange traded funds, where they don't vote your values? They own your vote. You gave up your vote. You don't own individual stocks anymore. You own a collection in an ETF, and you don't vote any of your shares. We are giving them $9 trillion of voting power. They are taking $9 trillion of our voting power away from us economically. If you want to do something, get out of your damn ETFs. Find someone like me or do it yourself. Buy individual stocks. Don't support these scumbags. They're literally creating this wokeism crap all over the country. And these companies have literally become evil. It's very hard for me to figure out who the hell to buy at times. My job is not easy. I got to try to figure out which companies actually love this country. Like which ones are Americans first and not globalist crap. And, are using the money that we pay them to undermine our values and our beliefs. It is not easy. I'm gonna say it. It won an Oscar, right? This is how sick those bastards are. It's hard out here for a pimp. Remember that? Like that song wins an Oscar, right? That's the kind of world we're living in, folks. This kind of crap like that song winning an Oscar. It goes to show you the lunacy of Hollywood, the lunacy of people thinking that this is cute to talk about prostitution and make it entertaining when that's somebody's life was destroyed. Somebody is literally selling themselves off like a product, like an asset. But then again, they might say, well, what the hell's the difference? We're all selling ourselves off into slavery too. And you know what? Maybe it's time for us to rise up and fight back, right? And so, I don't think we should make ETFs illegal, but I do believe we should make sure that people understand what they're agreeing to, because you're helping support, you're supporting entities that might be very much causing these problems. I'm not saying they are. You need to look into it for yourself. It's an individual judgment. What I'm trying to say is, look at the facts. They vote and they control the votes. And then, they put on the board members. They put in all this horse shit that we see that's infecting our society. Okay. They're the ones that probably are doing all this crap with regards to the CRT stuff. I think we should look into it. We should look at how much of this is being funded by corporate America, right? These are the same scumbags that were, funding kneeling for the American flag. Don't think it's a coincidence, folks. That was their first take on it. Now they're doing it with regards to our schools. It didn't work, so now they're kind of going after our schools. That's the deal, Okay, and so it's something to think about. These people are that evil, and they know they're that evil, and they know that we're going to have a hell of a time stopping them. So you guys want to do your part. Find an alternative is what I would say. Look at any of them. It's not just BlackRock. There's plenty of other. I think there's a few other ETF companies. Buy your damn stocks individually if you can. Don't and make sure you vote your shares is what I would say, because this is enough. This is the kind of crap that they're doing all over the place, folks. So we talked about the wedding of Cana with regards to water into wine, and and so forth. And I do think, this is where Jesus cleared the temple, flipping over the money tables and so forth. Get these things out of here. Stop turning my father's house into a marketplace. Folks, we need to take back our money tables with regards to our votes. This is good timing. We're talking about BlackRock, right? BlackRock is the largest ETF company. No offense to BlackRock. Maybe they've done a good job for you all these years. Wonderful. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong. They're doing what they told you they were going to do. It's in their prospectus. They told you what they're going to do. They're going to vote on your behalf. They're going to do everything on your behalf. And what I'm saying is, hey, they did that. Markets are at all-time highs. Get your money and go into individual stocks. Get out of these funds if you want to have a voice. If you want your voice to be heard, even if it's just a small voice right now, right? You got to remember, even a waterfall starts with a single drop, right? And so that's all I'm saying. I don't have any problem with BlackRock per se. I think that they're doing what they said they were going to do to you. And they're going to vote your shares. They're going to do it their way. They're going to install the management teams that they want. And you knew that going in, so they didn't break any rules. They didn't do any of that stuff. But what they did do is they accrued a tremendous amount of power, and that's what I would say. They accrued so much power, and can influence society to the detriment of your values, possibly, depending on what your values are. I think they do things to the detriment of my values, but so I adjust my life accordingly. Okay. So anyways, so that's what's going on here. Let's go to Psalm of David. Okay. Anyways, so let's go. Let all that I am praise the Lord. For my whole heart I will praise his holy name. Let all that I am praise the Lord. May I never forget the good things he does for me. He forgives all my sins. He heals all my diseases. He redeems me from death and crowns me with love and tender mercies. He fills my life with good things. My youth is renewed like the eagles. The Lord gives righteousness and justice to all who are treated unfairly. He revealed his character to Moses and his deeds to the people of Israel. The Lord is compassionate and merciful, slow to get angry, and filled with unfailing love. He will not constantly accuse us, not remain angry forever. He does not punish us for our sins. He does not deal harshly with us as we deserve. For his unfailing love toward those who fear him is as great as the height of the heavens above the earth. He has removed our sins as far from us as the east is from the west. The Lord is like a father to his children, tender and compassionate to those who fear him. For he knows how weak we are. He remembers we are only dust. Our days on earth are like grass, like wild flowers we bloom and die. The wind blows and we are gone. And though we had never been here, but the love of the Lord remains with those who fear him. His salvation extends to the children's children of those who are faithful to his covenant, of those who obey his commandments. The Lord has made the heavens his throne, and there he rules over everything. Praise the Lord, you angels, you mighty ones who carry out his plans, listening for each of his commands. Yes, praise the Lord, you armies of angels who serve him and do his will. Praise the Lord, everything he has created, everything in his kingdom. Let all that I am praise the Lord. Here's the deal, folks. We've talked about fractals, and I know I've talked about fractals quite a bit. Once again, having a newborn baby, right? My son now is 5 weeks old. Can you believe it? It's been 5 weeks. You know, 5 weeks. He's already 5 weeks old. So anyways, my son at 5 weeks old, I look at him, right? And I sit there and I think about how helpless he is, right? That he can't even hold his head up. He doesn't even, his neck muscles aren't strong enough to hold his head up, right? I understand that. I know he's just a baby, but I think about these things. So here I am. I look at my son. He can't hold his head up. He can't move, right? He's kind of doing his little, his tummy time, right? Everybody that has a kid knows what I'm talking about with the tummy time. And you do the tummy time. He does the tummy time on my chest. I hold him, and he's kind of working his neck. He's looking around. He's trying to see all this stuff, right? And I can't help but think about the analogy about how helpless we are in relationship to God, right? Like we think we're all that, right? And I got to tell you, we are all that, but we also need to know our place because, when a newborn child, right, you see what a newborn child is like, doesn't speak, can't speak yet. Maybe they can speak through our brain waves, and we don't know how to really tap into it as well as we can. But all I'm saying is that when you look at this and you see the connection in the Bible, it's a beautiful thing that we once again are graced with God's incredible brilliance in the way He's communicated the message to us by these stories and so forth. And so, anyways, reverse derivatives. Funny, Jeffrey. Yeah. He can't really do much right now. He's really good at eating, though. He's good at eating and sleeping. So anyways, all right. So short-tempered people do foolish things, okay? And schemers are hated. Simpletons are clothed with foolishness, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Evil people will bow before good people. The wicked will bow at the gates of the godly. Yeah, that's going to take quite a while, right? We're going to have to see when that all plays out. We're all patiently waiting. I do know we're all waiting. I did say that, and somebody wrote an article about me for saying that. Like somehow this implies some kind of grand conspiracy, right? Having faith in God now is having a conspiracy or being a conspiracy or being part of the conspiracy. Religious folks now are considered conspirators, because these evil Satanists are trying to vilify us because we allowed them. We allowed them to kick the Bible out of our schools. We allowed them to take over our schools with satanic stuff, teaching these insane ideas, teaching sexuality to our children, bringing in drag queens, all these types of insane things. Guys, just take a look. It's absolutely insane. All the stuff that's been taking place. And it didn't happen overnight. We kind of let it seep in. And so we have so much work ahead of us that, you can't get down about it. What I would say is we can't get down about it. We just need to do it. We need to do it piece by piece. We need to stay positive. We need to realize that if we don't do it, the consequences are going to be far more severe. So I do think that we have enough time to turn it around. I do believe that. I know there's some people that don't. They think that this is truly the end of days. I don't believe they're the end of days. I think the best days lie ahead. And so that's the deal. So with regards to tomorrow, why 7:00 tomorrow? I'm not sure why somebody's saying 7:00. The Bible study will be doing it on Friday in the morning because I have something Friday night, and same with Saturday. We'll have to do that Chosen. That's right. Okay, tomorrow we'll do it at 7:00, folks, so that everybody can watch The Chosen. Okay, so I'll start tomorrow at 7 p.m. Just a reminder. I'll make sure everybody knows as well. So with that, let's just wrap it up by saying, Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil, including the corrupt and evil CRT. May God rebuke him and rebuke CRT and all the supporters who are truly lost. We humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of thy heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all these evil school board administrators and politicians across the country who wander through the world for the ruin of souls. If they don't know what they're doing, they're either that stupid or they're in on it. Either way, they have to go. That's what I would say. Either way, they have to go because they're just corrupt souls at this point. So with that being said, folks, may God bless you. God bless your family and friends. May God continue to bless the greatest nation in the history of the world. And may peace be with you. And if for some reason you don't have peace, make sure you don't agitate that lack of peace by reading anything about CRT because it's just going to piss you off. This stuff is horrible and we need to get rid of it as soon as possible. And as far as I'm concerned, we need criminal penalties for anybody who espouses this kind of nonsense in the future. So with that, have a wonderful evening, everybody, and God bless. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Have a good one.